It's 7 a.m. on Monday morning. You realize that you need to go into placement again. And you realize that you don't really enjoy it. You don't feel like you learn very much. You don't feel like the doctors and the staff around you respect you. You don't feel like they really care about you. You feel like if you speak up, then no one will listen. And you feel like an invisible piece in the background. You feel a bit hopeless about the whole situation. You think, how am I going to do this for a whole 2 years? If you feel like that, then you're not alone. I felt like that a lot, especially when I first started placement 2 years ago. I promise you, after watching this video, you will feel a lot more confident and you will know how to make the most out of placement. You will finish placement days and you'll genuinely feel like you learned something and you feel like it was worth your time. This changed the game for me when I treated consultants like a family uncle/auntie. Think about your uncle, your aunties, your relatives, and you have a lot of care for them. You really have a lot of respect for them. You really value them. Whenever you go to family dinners and gatherings, right, it's great, it's fun, it's a great time. You can be relaxed in their presence. But what happens usually when you're a new student and you're meeting consultants for the first time? It's your first day in hospital placement. You spent the last 2 years just doing lectures, and now you're doing the real thing, and the consultants are the people at the very top of the food chain. So they're people that you kind of look up to. You're kind of starstruck in a way. That's not a good thing. It won't help you to relax. It won't help you to be at your best. If you treat someone like a celebrity, they will treat you like a fan. And this is true in business, it's true in dating, it's true in the hospital. Remember that we're all just humans. At the end of the day, we're all just people. We're all just people who have went through life, experienced different things, and at this present moment, we know what we know. We have the skills that we know. If you think of them like a family, auntie, uncle, you can relax and just talk to them like a normal person. So many times as a final year medical student, I see students talk to consultants as if, and they start stuttering and stumbling over their words. Subconsciously, if you treat someone like a celebrity, they will subconsciously kind of have you in this lower position. First impressions definitely count. First impressions are everything. If someone's told you that first impressions don't matter, then they're lying to you. Every day in life, we subconsciously judge people. Whether it's a good thing to do or a bad thing to do isn't the question that matters here. It's the fact that as humans, we're wired to subconsciously judge people. There are a couple things that go into making a good first impression. The way you're presented, so make sure that you're in the right uniform, make sure you bring your scrubs, you bring the right shoes, you make sure you have all your identification badges that you need to wear on the wards. Bring a pen and a small notebook. These little things that you might not think are that important really do matter. Never be late. There's no such thing as being too early. If you're early, you can always talk to the staff, build some rapport, and make a good impression. Whenever you get to the ward, introduce yourself to every person that you see, because chances are you're going to be spending a couple weeks on this ward. So you're going to be seeing these people day in and day out. Not just the doctors, not just the nurses, but also the porters, the pharmacists, the healthcare assistants, the physiotherapists. Make your presence known. Make a strong entrance. There's nothing better than working with people who are confident in themselves and warm, approachable, and have a presence about them. If you think about the people you surround yourself with and your friends, the people who are warm, they are always present when they're with you, they are probably the people that you enjoy spending the most time with. Be bold. Come in, introduce yourself to everyone. Not many medical students will do that, and so immediately they will respect you a lot for it and they will remember you. Make friends with the F1s. I don't mean just try and use them to get you signed off for things. I mean actually become friends with them. Actually talk to them as if you were meeting someone new and you wanted to be friends with them. Instead of thinking to get my placement and my form signed off, think, how am I going to help them out? How am I going to make their job and their life easier? If you think like that, if you think, how can I take responsibility off their hands and make their day a lot more of an enjoyable experience, then they will love you forever and they will treat you with much more respect and they will help you out wherever they can. You will be handed opportunities on a plate because of your goodwill and because of your generosity and your kindness with the team and with them. One important thing not to do though is to not just suck up to them. Don't just suck up to the F1s. They're literally like you. They will remember it like yesterday, them being in your situation as a medical student, as a nervous, new, timid medical student on their first day at placement. As humans and psychology, we do not like to be sucked up to. No one likes to be sucked up to. No one likes to be sucked up to in a way that they don't feel like they deserve yet. It almost makes you feel uncomfortable if someone sucks up to you and you haven't really interacted with them. Be your authentic self, as if you were talking to your friends. I want to shout out the sponsor of this video, Scope. I genuinely believe that Scope is going to have a huge impact on the future of medical education. It's a completely comprehensive medical knowledge and case-based study platform, a completely free resource. It allows you to work step by step through a case, working through the diagnosis, management, treatment for a disease, as if you were a real doctor on the ward. It really mimics what you go through in real life as a medical student on placement. One of the most unique features about the platform is that you can make your own case studies. So when you're on the ward and you see a really cool and interesting patient that you learned a lot from and you think it will be beneficial to others as well, you can make a case study based on the patient. Obviously, changing details. You have your own channel, similar to, for example, YouTube, and you can build and publish your own cases so that other people can find your cases and learn from you. The most powerful thing about this is the fact that teaching something is probably the greatest way to consolidate your learning and to really make sure you understand something. If you can teach something to someone else, that's when you know you really fully understand it. Back to the video. Learn about common conditions you're likely to see on the ward that you're working on. No one taught you how to prepare. I learned the hard way when I was tested on the ward and I was absolutely grilled by my consultant and I just didn't know the stuff and it looked so bad and it also definitely didn't make a good impression. As always, it goes back to impressions and how you make people feel and think. If you're coming in to their place of work and their ward that they take a lot of pride in their specialty and you don't know anything about it, I can imagine it kind of feels like, why are you here, right? Learn about what you're going to see. If you just have a general idea of what's going on, then you're going to learn more. I found that often you don't need to know everything, because if you've learned everything already, then what is the point of going to the ward if you know everything? The best way to learn is when you know a bit, so you're able to contribute in discussions and you're able to follow what's going on, but at the same time you're not an expert. So you're in that middle spot where you're like a sponge. You can take in everything. You're not at the bottom and you're not at the top, and that's how you should prepare for placement. You shouldn't spend hours and hours going through textbooks learning about this stuff. You should just Google it, go on YouTube, maybe watch a couple of videos and pick up some things before you start. Number 5 is to make it feel like a second home. This is for those of you who feel like you're invisible, as if you're from another planet and you just get ignored all the time. And you feel like no one would even notice you if you were just to leave. And it's a horrible feeling. It's a really, really horrible feeling. If you've experienced it, you'll know how kind of dehumanizing it feels. I don't know if I'm being a bit dramatic here, but seriously, when you're stood in theatre, for example, and no one notices you, no one speaks to you, it does really feel not very nice. That's why I've included it here, and I think it's so important to be able to tackle this problem. To do that, you need to put in the reps, first of all. You need to actually show up consistently. You need to show up enough that you feel comfortable walking into the ward. You really feel like you belong and you're part of the furniture there. People recognize you. Other staff members, HCAs, physiotherapists, nurses, they recognize you and they say hello when you walk in. They don't ignore you because they've never seen you before. Secondly, you need to get over that imposter syndrome. Remember that you passed exams, you passed the interview, you have the knowledge, you have the intelligence, you have the capability. So relax and remember that you deserve to be there. Finally, speak to the patients. Every day, make it a point to just go to a patient and have a chat with them. Whenever I go onto a new ward, I walk up to the patient and I just have a chat with them about life. about how they're doing, how their stay has been. You don't even need to necessarily talk about their condition and why they're in hospital and take a proper patient history, although that's obviously important and that's something you should do. But if you just go into the ward every day and have a nice chat with a patient, it makes such a huge difference in how you feel and your mood. I believe there's this thing called social momentum, where when you talk to someone and you have a good chat with someone, it makes it so much easier to have a good chat with someone else. If you have an important event in the evening where you want to make a good impression, you want to be social, then one of the best things you can do is just go hang out with your friends in the day instead of being on your own in your room. So it's the same thing with placement. If you want to be a good contributor to the team, to the doctors and the consultants, then talk to the patients, talk to the nurses, talk to the porters. Just have a chat with them. Alright guys, so that's a complete comprehensive guide on how to make the most out of placement. Hopefully now you can walk into hospital feeling confident and well equipped to make the most of it, to take everything in. Thanks for watching. As always, God bless and let's win together.